Out here at the Negri Ranch, 2 times a year they have a roundup, and part of that roundup is cattle branding. So they'll bring the cows and the calves in and they'll separate. Then they will brand, vaccinate, tag the calves, castrate the males. And part of that branding is a way to identify that calf belongs to the rancher. Now, it also demonstrates his care and his protection, but also a little bit of liability. You see, as they grow, they'll get up and they'll begin to get rough on these fences. They'll rub against them. You've heard the adage, grass is greener on the other side. They'll wanna get on the other side and get some grass, and they may wander out. They may cause an accident right here on this road that you hear. And that's a liability issue, and that rancher is responsible for that. So, yes, it's about the ownership and the care, the protection, but also some liability. In our passage this morning, we're talking about those who are sealed by the Holy Spirit of promise, those that trust in Jesus Christ, and we find ourselves in Ephesians 1:13. It says, "In whom ye also trusted, after you heard the word of truth, the gospel of your salvation, in whom also, after you believed, you were sealed with the Holy Spirit of promise." So that is God putting his mark on his people, that mark being the Holy Spirit. That's a wonderful thing. Just as I said that cattle branding is something that dates way back, we see that God has been very particular in marking his people, and he gives us this imagery in Ezekiel 9, verse 4 through 6. We see that he instructs the man to go and to mark those that are his. Oftentimes when we think about the mark as it relates to religious things, we think of only the mark of the beast. But let me assure you that God has put his mark on those that belong to him. Now, the benefit of that is we see in Romans 8, 15 and 16 and Galatians 4, 6, that those that have that Holy Spirit, they cry out, Abba, Father. And so you see that there's that connection with the Father. And so we are connected. We belong to him. He cares about us. And so we ought to be motivated by that kind of love to serve him in a way that's honorable unto him. Because we can just be just like those cattle, and we can push up against those boundaries that God has placed in our lives, the fences. We can think the grass is greener on the other side. And when we break out and break through, we can become a liability unto him. And this is why it's important for us to work out, not for, but work out our salvation in fear and trembling. This is why it's important to stay within the bounds that he has placed, because those are bounds of protection, kind of like what we talked about yesterday. And so my question to you is, do you have the mark of the Holy Spirit on your life? Are you a saved child of God? Do you know, if you were to die today, that you would be in heaven? Do you know that you belong to the Lord? Is he your rancher, so to speak? If you don't, I would really encourage you today to do some soul searching. Discover that it's our sin that keeps us from the Lord. That's our wrongdoing. That's the things in our lives that where our heart is just not aligned to his. That we would, in prayer, confess our sin to the Lord, and we would ask him to come into our hearts and to save us. And from now on, we would belong to him. We'd be a part of his herd, so to speak. We'd belong to him. We'd have his mark on us. We'd graze and be fed, be watered within those areas that he would have us to be. Won't you consider it today? Pray. And God would richly bless you. Take care.